Why is adopting a pet from a shelter so difficult? I live on a busy bus route in London. I have a big garden leading to a park at the back. But I will never be able to adopt a shelter cat because of the road at the front absolute veto. When we found a stray cat a few years ago, I called the local shelters to check if anyone was asking for him. And in the course of those conversations they all told me that they were full and wouldn't be able to take him in if we didn't keep him. If you are a cat shelter in London who won't let cats go to a house near a road, you're not really going to adopt out many cats. We kept the cat, who has now had 11 years of pampered life and not been run over yet. There's a breed-specific dog shelter that takes rescued, elderly, and abandoned dogs, and I happen to love and be very educated about the breed. And I even fit all the requirements. However, I ended up deciding not to pursue adoption, a little switcheroo for the thread, because their post-adoption requirements were insane. They make monthly, random, and unannounced inspections of your home. No listed end date, so no clue how far into the future they intended to do this. An unfavorable report meant losing the dog. No rubric listed. You were not allowed to move out of state, ever. They stated they would take the dog back. I'm not sure how enforceable this would actually be, but either way, absurd. As if removing a dog from a loving, suitable home after a decade is less disruptive than moving it with you even 10 minutes over a state boundary. This one stands out just because I thought it was weirdly specific. You were not allowed, under any circumstances, to take the dog on a boat. I was trying to adopt a dog from a shelter. Numerous shelters turned me down because I don't own the house I rent, even after providing written permission from my landlord. Some denied me because they said the dogs could not be left alone for more than 4 hours. How is that feasible for any working adult? Another was concerned because when asked if I had ever rehomed a pet before, I told them I had took in a stray cat who had kittens and I gave the kittens to friends, family. The cat was already pregnant when I took her home with me and I got her spayed right after. What did they expect me to do? Keep all 5 kittens? Some required specific breed experience. So if you are interested in a boxer mix, you must have previous experience owning a boxer. Doesn't matter if you have had 10 Labradors before. You need boxer experience or you will be denied. Another said they required a home study, where someone would need to come, inspect, my house. I asked who would this person be, and they told me a volunteer. So basically, some random person off the street with no real training or qualifications who can decide my house is not up to par for any reason they decide? No thanks. Rescue organizations seem to want to place dogs, cats with retired people who only leave their house once a month to visit the doctor. If you're employed or have kids, it's like your bottom priority for them. Shelters and rescues have gone absolutely insane. The amount of work they ask you to go through. And, in my experience, only to say, actually we decided to keep it, quote, is definitely keeping pet stores in business. I understand asking if people let the cat outside or want to declaw or other health concerns. But I had a place ask me to fill out a 7-page application and ask to schedule multiple home visits. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but I just had to commiserate. The power trip rescue and shelter people are on is wild. I once was interested in adopting a cat. The poor thing was in a little cage in a pet store, which gave the rescue org space. They actually wanted to inspect my house. There was no way I was going to let a bunch of strangers into my home. I had to stop going to that pet store because I felt so bad for the cat who was still stuck in that cage for a couple of months until I couldn't stand it anymore. And I started going somewhere else. My GF and I once looked into adopting a dog. We even went through the interview process. That made me decide that if I ever want a dog, I'll just buy it or rescue one off the street. I don't need anybody looking into my life like that. Criminal background check? Cool. General questions about living conditions? Fine. Want to know my intentions towards the dog and my activity level? No problem. But beyond that, screw you, gatekeeper. I think it is often location dependent. I live in a large city in the South. I am not kidding when I say foster groups, shelters have literally tried to emotionally blackmail me and my kids into adopting kittens. It's sad because kittens die due to lack of shelter space constantly. Dogs, too, but mostly large breeds. They give them away for free and low cost all the time, frequently with very little background checks. This question is exactly why I got my cat from an irresponsible neighbor instead of a shelter. She's wonderful. BTW. I once knew a couple who are both veterinarians. Owned acreage in the country with several animals already. The animal shelter denied them when they wanted to adopt a dog. These people had invested hundreds of thousands of dollars and their entire lives into learning how to care for animals and caring for animals. They had space to roam, not near a highway, and they had tens of thousands of dollars of disposable income, and they're unfit to adopt a dog. My spouse and I signed up to adopt a dog from a shelter in District of Columbia 16 years ago. Never even got a callback or email. No doubt they spent weeks, months vetting the perfect candidate. We found a stray on the side of the road. No collar, no chip. 6 months later, we've kept that pup happy and healthy for 15 years. Shelters don't know WTF they're doing. Dude, it makes zero sense to me. The local shelter charges $20 to adopt a cat, but you have to fill out a novel of paperwork. The shelter a couple towns over charges $85, but you only fill out 34 pages. Meanwhile, any chucklehead with enough money on them can buy reptiles, amphibians, spiders, birds, fish, etc. Any idiot with a couple brain cells can keep a cat alive, but those exotic animals are not easy to take care of. Plus, there aren't many vets for them around here either. I agree with you. 100%. A lot of times pet rescues, particularly the privately ran rescues, hold potential adopters to impossibly high standards. You work full-time? Oh, so the dog will be home alone all day? You don't work full-time? Oh, so you won't be able to afford vet bills? You don't own your home? So, you could get evicted anytime? You own your home? Your mortgage is too high. Some will legit want bank statements. Our family has been scrutinized because of my son with autism. BS statements like, what if he has a tantrum and hurts the dog? When in reality, he is the gentlest, kindest person and treasures every single animal. To a certain extent, I'm sympathetic. I've heard some horror stories from shelters about adoptions going tragically awry, and understand that if you faced them you want to avoid that in the future. But some shelters have taken it so much too far that it's really unacceptable. I was in the market for adopting a dog recently, and one wanted to be able to contact my employer for a reference. No. I suspect it may be easier to adopt in places where they are more confident that they'll find all the dogs a home. Even the government-run shelters in my immediate area are almost no-kill. In fact, around me the shelters actually import dogs from other states to prevent them from being put down, so they can afford to make people wait. But it's not all of them. I found a little rescue a few hours away from me who made the process extremely easy. I sent a quick application. We had a quick video chat and a quick phone call with the foster. More for my benefit than anything. The combined process including my questions lasted about 1 hour. And then I walked home with the most perfect dog. She just wanted to know that I was reasonably reliably going to take care of the dog. Which is fair. In the process of looking, I also found several other rescues which were extremely supportive and helpful. Meanwhile, the shelters around here practically give cats and kittens away, and multiple of my friends have walked home with a kitten same day when they found the one. So it is very, very possible. It's just a matter of not doing business with those who don't realize that perfect is the enemy of good. It's also worth noting that other animal adoption obtaining methods are also hit or miss. I met a woman who bought a chocolate lab puppy only for the vet to say, "Ha. The only thing chocolate lab in that puppy is the chocolate. You got yourself a pit bull Doberman mix." She verified genetically, and it was true, but she kept and loves the dog. A friend of mine usually adopts, but bought a puppy once only for it to develop horrible health problems a couple months later and die at a year old. For every reason you've mentioned and more, I no longer seek out new pets from rescue organizations. I believe most of them are simply animal hoarders with a god complex or perhaps attention-seeking grifters. My most recent pup was found on Craigslist, and I'm pleased as punch to have cut out the middleman. I'm taking the same chance I would with any pet from a rescue. Minus the invasive questions, judgy comments, and annoying paperwork. Technically, this pup was also a rescue, because it was an accidental litter and the mother died just 1 week after giving birth. Basically, I've saved this pup from potentially being tossed from shelter to foster home and back. Again. At least, that's how I'm choosing to see it. I mean, if they ask you if you're going to walk the dog for 3 miles every day, say yes. Why would you say no? If you know that you're going to give the dog a great home and a great life, then tell them what they want to hear. I too have had this problem. Kind of crazy how difficult they make it. Whereas purchasing a new baby kitter or pup is so easy. I DK where you live, but in my area a lot of the non-profit animal rescues aren't really rescues. They're more like secret clubs for animal hoarders or breed enthusiasts who can't afford to be breeders. They're notoriously hard to get an animal from. When I was first looking for a pet, I tried small rescues and ran into the invasive questioning problem. It became pretty clear that they weren't looking for homes for the animals they rescue unless you were part of the cliché. By contrast, your local city kill shelter or a place like the ASPCA are easy to adopt from. Or at least were in my experience. I was able to walk in, pay the fee, and walk out with a dog. All I had to show was a driver's license and proof that I had an address. I wasn't asked a lot of invasive questions. The only questions I was asked were about whether I had any other pets and/or kids so they could make sure the dog I was taking wouldn't be returned for being incompatible. If you have a good home for a pet but are still having trouble getting one, I would say try a different location. No, it is ridiculously hard to adopt. That's why people just go to breeders and stores. And they are going to continue to until RECUS and other agencies TF up a bit. And it's not like they don't already know this. I have 3 cats I adopted pre-COVID. Walked into shelter, spent some time playing, did some paperwork, and left with cats 3 times. Now, you have to have in-home visits and credit checks and so forth. It's a damn shame. People being denied for asinine reasons, and the animals are stuck in cages at shelters.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.